I had to go to the dentist a few weeks ago. It was for a crown. The dentist explained to me that it's like a false tooth that sits on the wreck of your own tooth. Well, fine by me. I went in one day for the prep, as they call it, and then a fortnight later for the crown. The dentist said that it would take quite a time. When I'm at the dentist, I shut my eyes and do kind of stretches with my shoulders and neck. I go into a kind of trance. I hear the dentist and the assistant as if they're at the other end of a corridor. And I heard, "That's it." I got up and said thanks and walked out. For a few days I didn't think to look in my mouth to see the crown. But then I leaned into the mirror and I could just make out a little tiny clock face. The dentist had fixed it face up in the tooth being on the bottom row, and I rushed back to the dentist and went up to the receptionist and asked to see him. The receptionist said that he had left. He wasn't working at this dentist's anymore. I said, "Look, well, here, he's put a tiny clock in there." I opened my mouth. She looked in and said, "It says 5:20. That's the right time."
Nasty. The BAKERLOO FLEA.
Warning. This is a horror story.
Back in the 1970s, I was in a pub round the Elephant and Castle, and I got talking to a woman, an oldish woman, and we were talking about this and that, and she said she used to be a cleaner down the underground. I didn't know, but it seems as if every night, after the last tube, they switch the electric current off and teams of night cleaners go through the underground, along the tunnels, cleaning up all the muck, rubbish, crisp packets that we chuck onto the lines. They sweep out between the lines on one station and then, in a gang of about 6 or 7, walk on to the next station along the lines in the tunnels. Anyway, this woman, I don't know her name, she says to me, "Did you ever hear talk of the BAKERLOO FLEA?" "BAKERLOO FLEA?" I said. No, never." "Well," she said, "you know there are rats down there, yeah, down the underground, hundreds of them. And the thing is," she said, "is that some of them have grown enormous, huge, great big things." "Oh, I've heard of them," I said, "yeah. Super rats." "Right," she says. "Now you tell me," she says, "what lives on rats?" "Fleas, right, eh? Fleas. So, the bigger the rats, the bigger the fleas. Stands to reason. These rats, they feed on all the old garbage what people throw down on the lines. It's amazing what people throw away, you know." She told me they found a steak down there once, lipstick, a bowler hat, beads, a box of eggs, and hundreds of sweets, especially Maltesers, and those balls of bubble gum you get out of slot machines. Anyway, the rats eat these, get big, and it seems that one day they were working the old BAKERLOO line, Elephant and Castle to Finchley Road, and just before Baker Street, one of the women in the gang was looking ahead, and she screamed out, Look, what's that?" Up in front was a great grey spiky thing with huge hairy legs and big jaws. It was as big as a big dog. No, bigger. And the moment she screamed, "Ah!" it jumped away from them, making a sort of grating, scraping noise. Well, they were scared stiff. But they had to finish the job, so they carried on up the line to Finchley Road, but they didn't see it again that night, or the next. Some of them thought they'd imagined it because, it can get very spooky down there. They sing and shout a lot, she told me, and tell saucy jokes, not fit for my ears. Anyway, about a fortnight later, at the same place, just before Baker Street on the BAKERLOO line, suddenly one of them looks up and there it was again. A great big grey spiky thing with long legs and big jaws. "It's a flea, sure to God, it's a flea," one of them said. The moment it heard this, whoosh, again it jumped. Again they heard this scraping, grating sound. and it disappeared down the tunnel in the dark. They walked on, Baker Street, St John's Wood, Swiss Cottage to Finchley Road. Nothing. Anyway, this time they had a meeting. They decided it was a flea, a gigantic flea, and it must have grown up from a family of fleas that had lived for years and years, growing bigger and bigger, sucking the blood of all the fat rats down there. So they decided that it was time to tell one of the high-ups in London Transport, as it used to be called, or they wouldn't go down there anymore. For a start off, no one would believe them. Just a gang of women seeing things in the dark, the supervisor said. Right, one of them had a bright idea. She said, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll tell them that we're coming out on strike, and we'll tell the papers about the flea, the BAKERLOO flea. It'll be a huge scandal. No one will dare go by tube. It'll be like a national scandal. So they threatened the manager with this, and this time the high-ups really moved. They were so scared the story might get out and they'd be blamed, and one of them would lose their jobs. So for a start, they stopped all cleaning on the BAKERLOO line, and one of the high-ups went down the tunnel with the women. You can just see it, can't you? 4 a.m, a gang of 6 women with feather dusters, and one of the old bowler hat and briefcase brigade walking down the tunnel on the hunt for the BAKERLOO flea. Sounded incredible to me. Anyway, it seems as if they came round that same corner just before Baker Street, and the women had gone quiet, and the bloke was saying, if this is a hoax, if this is a trick, when they heard that awful, hollow, scraping noise. At first, they couldn't see it, but then, there it was, not between the lines this time, on the lines, a gigantic flea, no question, that's what it was. Well, he took one look at it, and next moment, he was backing off. Back, ladies, back, 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 ladies. Of course, he was more scared than they were, terrified. But he was even more terrified when one of the women let out this scream. Ah! Not because she was scared, but to scare off the flea. And it worked. It jumped right out of sight. Well, there was no carrying on up the line that night. Back, ladies, back, was all he could say, and back they went. Next thing they knew, they were called into an office with a carpet and the Queen on the wall, and there was a whole gang of these men. First thing, one of them says, they weren't to let anyone know of this. No one at all must ever hear of what they had all seen. There was no point in letting a panic develop. Anyway, next he says, we haven't let the grass grow under our feet, ladies. We've got a scientist with us. And then the scientist, he says,
I've got this powder, deadly flea powder. All you need to do is spread this up and down the BAKERLOO line, and there'll be no more trouble with this flea thing.
Well, the women and the woman in the pub, I never found out her name, says, so who's going to spread this stuff about down there? The army?
No, the man said, we don't see any need for that. You.
He says,
you.
So that's a fine one, the woman said to me. First of all, they said it was just a bunch of women afraid of the dark, and then they sent Tarzan in pinstripes down there, and he can't get out fast enough, and now it's us that has to spread this poisonous flea powder. Well, she said, we knew it wouldn't be any good anyway. Flea powder never is. They took it down there, threw it about between Regent's Park and Baker Street and Swiss Cottage, while up above, in the big houses, ambassadors from all over the world slept soundly in their beds. They told the women not to go down for a week and not to breathe a word of it to anyone. They were more scared of a story in the papers than we were of the flea, she said. It hadn't attacked anyone. No one had seen it there in the daytime, so down they went. But there it was again, sitting there just before Baker Street with some of the powder sticking to the hairs on its legs. But this time, instead of hopping away down the line, it turned and faced them. They backed off and ran, and then it leapt. It leapt at the women, and they ran back down the tunnel to Regent's Park. This great grey flea was trying to get at them. We screamed, she said. We really screamed, but it was after us, because you see, that flea powder hadn't killed the flea, it had killed the rats. It was starving for fresh blood, probably mad for blood by now, she said. We ran and ran and the flea was hopping, but was hitting the roof of the tunnel. It was so mad to get at us. And there was this terrible scraping sound of its shell on the roof of the tunnel. And it had fall back onto the lines. So we could move faster than it. We rushed back to Regent's Park and calls went up and down the line and all over the system to lock the gates on every station and seal the system. Yeah, seal off the underground system of London. Well, it was about 4 o'clock. 2 hours to go before 1 million people would be down there. What were they going to do? Upstairs in the office, they were in a blind panic. They could have done something about it earlier instead of fobbing us off. They couldn't call in the army without telling the minister, and if they told the minister, he'd tell the Prime Minister, and all the high-ups would get the sack. So they had this plan to turn the current on and run the maintenance train at high speed through the tunnel from Finchley Road to the Elephant and Castle in the hope that it would get killed beneath the wheels of the train or smashed against the buffers at the Elephant. They did it, yeah. They sent it through. Of course, that didn't work. We knew it wouldn't work. Anyone that's lived with a flea knows you can't squash fleas. You've got to crack 'em. Like that, like that. They're hard, rock hard. Well, after the maintenance man ran the maintenance train through, they went down to the gates at Regent's Park. And they stood and listened. And from down below they could hear the grating, scraping noise of its shell on its legs. Of course, it was obvious now why it had stuck to this stretch of the line all the time. Some of the juiciest rubbish was in the bins round those posh parts. So you got the biggest rats, so that was where you got the great BAKERLOO flea. So now they had less than 2 hours to get rid of the flea or leave it for a day and run the risk of letting 1 million people down into the tunnels to face a flea. Starving for blood, or shutting the whole system down and telling everyone to go by bus. Well, you know what happened, she said. We did it. Yeah, we got rid of it. You did, I said. Yeah, we did it. See, Vera's old man worked on the dust carts for Camden Council. She knew how to kill the flea. Yeah, it was Vera's plan that what we'd do was go down. Yeah, actually down onto the line at Oxford Circus with dustbin lids, banging them with brushes and broom handles and drive the flea back up the line to Finchley Road where the BAKERLOO line comes out of the tunnel into the open air. And at Finchley Road, Vera's old man and his gang would have a couple of the carts backed up into the tunnel. And that's what we did. We got driven to Vera's place to get her old man up, onto his mates' places to get them up. Then they went to the council builders' yard to get boards, builders' planks and stuff. We get the lids off the bins and then down we went. Oxford Circus, Regent's Park, Baker Street, St John's Wood, Swiss Cottage, Finchley Road. And we shouted and we banged and we banged and we shouted every step of the way. We saw it just once at Swiss Cottage, waiting for us. But we walked together, holding the lids up in front of us, like shields. And it was as if it knew it couldn't get at us this time, 'cause it turned. Yeah, it had just room to turn in the tunnel, and as we came up to Finchley Road, still banging and shouting, it leapt, not at us, yeah, but at one of the carts. Alongside it was the other one. Between the wheels were the boards, some of them stacked up to block off all the gaps. The flea was trapped between us with our lids and the back of the dust carts. It leapt, hit the roof of the tunnel, just like it did when it chased us. We shouted and banged, "Way, way!" And it leapt again. And this time we had it. It was in the back of the dust cart. We kept up the banging and the shouting, "Way, way, way!" And we got as near to the back of the dust cart as we could. We could see it there. Every hair of its legs. And Vera shouts, "Turn it on, Bob! Turn it on!" And Bob turned on the masher. They call it the shark. And it's in the back of his cart, yeah? And it bit into the back of that flea like giant nails crunching through eggshells. The smell was revolting. Bit by bit, the flea was dragged into the cart. We could see as it went. We could just see it. Yeah? First its body, then its legs. Ah, I'll never forget the sight of those huge hairy legs twitching about in the back of Bob's cart with Vera shouting, "You got him, love? You got him?" He had to. That was that. That was the end of the BAKERLOO flea. But you know, when we got up to the top, that load from head office, they were there, they were crying. Crying out of relief. Yeah, crying their eyes out. 20 minutes later, hundreds and thousands of people were down there, down the underground, off to work, none the wiser. They didn't know about any flea, any BAKERLOO flea. They don't even know we go down there every night cleaning up their mess for them. Of course, head office made us promise never to breathe a word of it. We promised. Vera said, "Oh yeah, what's it worth to you?" He said, "Your honour. Your word and your word's your honour." And they gave us a week's extra holiday tagged on to August bank holiday that year. Yeah. She told me I was the first person she had ever told the story to, and told me never to tell anyone. The scandal would be terrible. I don't know whether to believe her or not. Fit for life. I eat carrots, I eat cabbage, I eat sprouts, I eat radish, don't eat sugar, don't eat fat. What about salt? Don't eat that. Look after myself. I'm mad about health, mad about health, mad about myself. I go for a jog, I go for a swim, I go for a run, I go to the gym. I got the gear, I got the kit, got the strip, it's a perfect fit. Look after myself. I'm mad about health, mad about health, mad about myself. Feel my pulse rate, feel my biceps, feel my kneecap, feel my triceps. I'm really fit. But you know what? My right knee hurts a lot. Right knee swollen, ankle sprained, wrist is twisted, the shoulder's strained. But I'm really fit. I'm much stronger. Never mind the pain. I'm gonna live longer. Something funny that I've been told. Why work so hard just to get old? Don't get that. Don't get it at all. Can't stop now. Got to do some more. Look after myself. Mad about health. Mad about health. Mad about myself. No time left to hang about. No time left for going out. No time left to see the wife. I don't care. I'm fit for life. That's what I am. Fit for life. Pity about the knee. I'm fit for life. Pity about the ankles. I'm fit for life. Pity about the wife. I'm fit for life. Science. We were doing science. Properties of matter. Solid, liquid, gas, ice, water, water vapour. Everything in the universe is solid, liquid or gas. Take something solid, warm it up enough and it'll become liquid. Warm it up more and it'll become gas. Cool the gas down enough and it'll become a liquid. Cool it even more and it'll become a solid. Haribo whispered to me, "Hey, you could freeze a fart." "Yeah," I said, "and you'd have a little farty ice cube." "Yeah," he said, "solid fart." We were doing science. Properties of matter. Well, I'm with SHLOMO again, and this time we're going to have a little look at some of the gear that he uses. I don't know whether you can see that, Dave. Catch this little bit of a machine here. So, tell on, Shlo, what is this?
This is called a loop station. So we use this when we're doing like beatboxing shows on stage, and we want to have more than just one beat. So you can kind of create lots of layers of yourself. It's amazing. I'll show you. So you could be like, I might start by putting a little hi-hat. Remember we did the hi-hat? So it might be like...
So it's doing that by itself
So
because
now-
it's just recorded you.
That's recorded me, and that's going to keep going. So then I can put another sound on top, like. There'll be a bass line. You can have so much fun with this machine. You can have so much fun with it because any idea you have, you can start looping it and then creating music. So that might be a little backing track that I could then like sing a song on top of. Or
And do you sing?
I do, yeah.
Go on, just give us a little one then.
I'll make up a song all about Michael Rosen like this. Yeah, I'm here with Michael Rosen, and we're making up the tunes. Gonna make you feel groovy, just for me and you. Break it down, yo.
Yeah.
Break it down, yo. Break it down, yo. Break it down, yo. And it even had a special sound in there that we call feedback, which is when, did you hear that? It was like, it's gone now. But it's fun. That's
kind of ghost-like, yeah.
so much fun, like in terms of being spontaneous and creative and expressing yourself.
And is this madly expensive? Could a school buy one of these?
Oh gosh, yeah, this machine costs like, I think it's about 300 quid. But this is like the really complex one. You can get more basic ones for way less than that. And also there's really good apps on the iPad or on an Android tablet, which cost a few pounds, which can achieve a lot of what I'm doing here.
Well, I do a thing in schools where I go, something's drastic, something's drastic, my nose is made of plastic, something's drastic, something's drastic, my ears are elastic, something's drastic, something's drastic, we're fantastic. Good, you got it. We're fantastic. Now, what I say to the children when I'm doing that is that they all go, something's drastic, and they keep that going.
Drastic. Ah,
See?
so you
And
can
then
loop it.
So it's, well, they sort of loop it by doing it there live, but of course they could do it, just one person or two people, they could make something's drastic, because that's, would you call that a bed or a ground or something?
Yeah,
It's
so
like,
what, do you then sing on top of the bed?
I do.
Yeah,
I just
or
do.
say sing.
Yeah, I just do the nose is plastic, but of course you can decide when to come in.
Yeah, well, what do you think it would work? Do you want to have a go? Do you want to try doing that with the machine?
Yeah, okay, go on
We
then.
can have multiple Michaels all at once.
Yeah, that's right.
So I've got a mic for you down there. If you
Okay,
want to grab that one. Give it a
right,
little test.
here we go.
Just a little 1, 2.
One. See, I noticed how to say, did you say, I can do the one thing.
Yeah,
it's very important. You can't do this stuff unless you can do that, yeah.
So
Right.
I'm now going to delete this song.
So I'm
that
just
I
going to
made
do
earlier.
something's drastic, yeah?
Okay,
So
you
that
ready?
yeah. Something's drastic,
going.
something's drastic, something's drastic,
Okay.
something's drastic.
I totally got that wrong. So let's do that again.
Should we do that again? Here we go then.
And
Something's drastic, something's drastic, something's drastic, something's drastic. My nose is made of plastic. Something's drastic, something's drastic. My ears are elastic. Something's drastic, something's drastic. We're fantastic. We're fantastic. We're fantastic. We're fantastic. We're fantastic. My ears are elastic. My nose is made of plastic. Something's drastic.
Do you mean my nose is made of plastic?
My nose is made of plastic.
Again?
My nose is made of plastic. 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 My nose is made of plastic.
that's so much fun. It's like,
Oh wow!
yeah, you can like kind of glitch yourself and remix yourself in real time.
But that would be such fun in schools or anywhere,
Yeah,
just at
that's-
home.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I do a show for kids, and the whole thing I'm trying to encourage people to do is just express themselves. Do you know what I mean? Just feel empowered enough to try stuff out, and don't worry if it comes out silly or if other people don't like it. That doesn't matter. You just be yourself. Just find who you are. And for me, that happens to be beatboxing. For you, that happens to be all the amazing stuff you're doing with your poetry and your literature. But any tools you can find to help you be yourself, for me, this just sets me on fire. It's so much fun. So I really encourage people to just do whatever they find fun.
Now, it would be great if you subscribed. That is, you become a subscriber. Look out for the subscribe button. What happens, you see, is that I make new vids every few months, and then I post them up one a week. So if you subscribe, you get to see the new ones just as they come hot off the press. Ew.